Yes, there will be baseball. After a 99-day lockout, we now have a complete 162-game schedule starting with opening day on April 7th. To celebrate the return of baseball, we want to do a wow promotion, so here we go. The first 50 customers will get the full season of MLB, including the playoffs, for just over $3 per day. How much of a wow is this? MLB through the All-Star break is priced at $7.95 and through the World Series is priced at $1,095. But the first 50 customers can get MLB through the World Series for $6.99. No coupon is needed, and this comes out to just over $3 per day. Once we hit 50 redemptions, the super early bird discount will come down and the lowest possible price to lock in baseball will no longer be available. So act fast before you get shut out on our biggest price drop ever.
What's up, guys? Nick Borrman here of WagerTalk.com, here to preview the Valspar Championship on another week of tee time from Vegas. With me, as always, Andy Lang, also of WagerTalk.com. Feels like the players ended about 15 minutes ago, but here we are, ready to get back into the swing of things for the next event. What a wild week. Andy, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing good. That was an insane week of golf. I did love that I got to watch on Monday. I hated the circumstances that brought us there, but it's always fun when you have a sporting event on a day that it's not normally on. It feels like a Christmas present. So it was a good week. I know there are a lot of people out there that probably had a really bad week because of the weather. So let's just move on to next week. If you guys had a rough one, that really sucks. I had a decent one, broke even, which on a week like that, I'm very, very happy with. So, but at times it is fun to see the best in the world get challenged a little bit and see the frustration. So it was kind of fun, but this week should be a little bit more calm. We will have a little bit of weather in the area, a little bit of wind, but shouldn't be anything nearly like what they had to deal with last weekend.
Yeah, last week was rough. I did not have a good week. I tried to figure. I knew there would be an advantage to the draw, but I couldn't figure out where it was going to fall because the weather wasn't really. I mean, we knew it was going to rain. We knew it was going to wind. It would just the timing was off. So I haven't seen an event like that with such an extreme advantage from one draw to the other in quite some time. So it really those guys that went back out on Saturday in that wind. I mean, watching them on 17, it was the best players in the world. I don't want to say almost had no chance because people were hitting the green.
Unfair. No, they didn't have a chance. It was
really
unfair.
They were really struggling to hit that. I mean, people were hitting shots. As soon as they hit the ball, they were just laughing. I mean, you see Koepka laughing, and I mean, guys with just absolutely no chance. So it is what it is. We move on. We try to find another week. This week we got the Valspar Championship, of course. Before we get into that, I do want to discuss a promo code for this week. This week we're doing a 7-day all-access pass. So besides golf, you can get either Andy or myself 7 days all access. Take $30 off the normal price of $99. Get it for just $69. Andy, I'll let you let's tell the viewers what is included in your all access pass.
Well, obviously you get all the golf plays. My favorite play of the week is already up right now, and along with another play that is just at a fantastic price. So the rest of the plays will be loaded up as the day goes on. But basketball, we had a huge Monday night. We went 4-0 and hit a 5% play. And Wednesday is a massive slate of games, so we're going to have another play, probably a big one. And then Friday, we have another massive slate of basketball games. So you get 7 days included with this. We've been doing great in tennis and UFC. So all those plays are included, and 7 days for $69, you can't beat it. And if you get the 7 day now, like, don't forget, you're going to probably get golf plays starting next week. So it's not, when you get the 7 day, it's not just this week's of golf plays. It's a smoking deal for both of us on WagerTalk.com. So take advantage of it.
Yeah, Andy's been great with NBA this year. Those props, man, you're killer. So good luck with that. Myself will include golf, of course, tennis, Indian Wells, down to the quarterfinal stage starting tomorrow. And then soccer, we've got Champions League, Europa League, and, of course, the regular domestic leagues. And MLS is back in the fourth week this weekend. So, again, promo code VALSPAR30. Take $30 off 7-day pass, either Andy or myself. Head over to WagerTalk.com to check that out. All right, Valspar, let's talk about the top 10 strokes gained in the field this week. We always kind of start this week, start the tournament here with this graphic. Last week, once again, Cam Smith comes from within inside this graphic as he becomes the 6th winner in 10 tournaments so far in 2022 that has been in the top 10 strokes gained, total strokes gained heading into the week. So we'll start there once again and look at the top 10. Leading the way, Justin Thomas, plus 2.26 strokes per round. Then we got Hovland, Morikawa, Burns, all names you would expect. Burns, of course, is the defending champion here with his breakthrough PGA Tour win last year. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares trying to defend that. Fitzy, Hatton, Lowry, Schauffele, DJ, who shot a course record quietly on Sunday at Sawgrass, tied the course record, and then Louis Oosthuizen. So obviously a very, very well-known top 10 here. And the field's pretty strong considering all these guys just played last week. And honestly, I don't know if we'll see anybody drop out before it gets to Thursday, beat up from this past week. But it is a pretty decent field here this week with a lot of these big names. So definitely a good place to start when you're looking at your bets is right here with this list. Andy, let's talk a little bit about the course in the field. We're going to Innisbrook staying in Florida. What should the viewers know about either the golf course or the field this week?
A little bit of a watered down field compared to last week. Not nearly as many big names. The course can play difficult. It looks like there's going to be wind again. This is not your traditional Florida course. There's elevation changes, which is kind of different. A lot of trees. I believe they have 4 par 5s, and I believe it's playing as a par 71. I think this week. Yeah, so it's a strange course. It can play really tough. They always have the snake pit, which is the 3 holes on the back 9. Those always play tough. And this week, it's going to take another just complete game. This isn't a course that you can overpower. This isn't a course that where you completely rely on your short game. It's going to be another Cam Smith type of performance where he's hitting his fairways and he's making all those putts. I mean, all his putting display in round 4 was incredible. He hit every 6-footer that he needed to hit. And it's going to be similar to that. You can't be wayward off the tee. Otherwise, you will get yourself in trouble with the trees. If you're worried about the weather, just wait until Wednesday night or real early Thursday morning to see if you can find an advantage. It doesn't look like like any certain tee time is going to have an advantage right now, but you can always wait until Wednesday. Should be a good setup. Depending on the wind, I would expect the score to be -10 for the winner. So those are my takeaways for this course.
Yeah, right on the head. You nailed this one. The snake pit is 16, 17, and 18, par 4, 3, and 4 to finish. And they are very difficult to say the least. Last year, Burns won this event 17 under par, but was +3 on those 3 holes over the 4 days. So it just tells you how hard those 3 holes are. On that note, you mentioned the winning score probably in the -10 range. I would agree with that. 17 under. This event was played in May last year, and winds are generally not a factor in May. Also, rough is a lot different come May. So the rough is in March can be a little bit longer because the overseeding is still going on there. Just it hasn't died out into the Bermuda, which is a little bit shorter yet. So the rough is a little bit longer this week. The scores will probably come back down from what we saw last year. So definitely some good notes there. You already hit the head with the 4 par 5s. Burns led the field last year, par 5 scoring, 4.06. So he pretty much birdied every time he played it. Innisbrook also features 5 par 3s. So do pay attention. PGAtour.com is a great place to check out. You can check out par 3 scoring, for example. It might be worth a look. Don't place it, make all your bets based on that one stat, but it might be worth, a little extra something to take a look at if you're down to one last little factor trying to decide between maybe a matchup play or something like that. Take a look at par 3 scoring because there is one extra one this week. And there's 43 players right now that are in the field from last week. What I haven't yet figured out, but I'm assuming it's probably a negative for anybody that made the cut and played Sawgrass through that, marathon of a tournament all the way through Monday, and at least was in contention, that maybe it's a short turnaround, maybe they're tired, their schedule's all jacked up. So it'll be interesting to see how those guys fare on this short turnaround here at Innisbrook. Guys that missed the cut, I would say, don't worry about it from last week. Most of the guys that missed the cut were just on the wrong side of that draw, and I wouldn't put hardly any stock into what happened last week, other than these guys that were in contention and try to play this week, maybe it's a negative, but I'm not saying that for sure. I'm still trying to figure that out. But let's get into a couple plays that we are looking at. I'll start by looking at an outright play I picked last week, which was not good. That was Matthew Fitzpatrick, who finished +4, missed the cut. But a great angle on the PGA Tour is getting guys that have been playing very well and all of a sudden miss the cut to bounce right back, because Fitzpatrick, he had 4 straight top 10s going into that Players. That's why I liked him last week. But I guess, listen, maybe he got the benefit of being done early and not having to stay there as long as everybody else. With those 4 straight top 10s, he had the win on the DP World Tour in October, so he's got that under his belt as well. He's yet to win on the PGA Tour, but he does have a couple of those European Tour wins. He ranks 5th in total strokes gained in the field over the last 6 months and boasts the 13th best scoring average on tour so far this season. He did miss the cut in Innisbrook in his only previous start, but that was 4 years ago, 2018, so he doesn't have a ton of course history here, but he's come a long way over the last 4 years, and I think he'll have a bounce back from last week and at least be in contention come Sunday. So I think he's got some decent value. It's pretty much the same price where he was last week, and Andy already mentioned that the field is obviously weaker than last week. So 34-1 is a pretty strong number on him for this week. So I'm going to look at Matthew Fitzpatrick there. Andy, let's go to you next. Guys that can trip you up. Who are you looking to avoid this week?
Well, I'm going to start with Dustin Johnson. I was almost 3 for 3 on guys that can trip you up last week, because I had Cantlay, Rahm, and DJ, and they were all really bad. And DJ was terrible until he shoots that incredible round before, including a hole-out eagle from the fairway on the last one. That's a really deceiving 9th place finish. That's very, very deceiving. And he finished 48th at this tournament last year. I'm not buying that he's back to elite status, because for 3 rounds he struggled and then just had the round, maybe the round of the year right now, what he did on there. So, and then you mentioned, yeah, it really was. And then, you mentioned some of these guys playing on Monday, and I actually did some research on this, and I picked Tommy Fleetwood. He's finished 22nd and 20th the last 2 weeks, but of the golfers that are priced above 8,000 on DraftKings, Nick, he's the only one to play 3 weeks in a row and to play on Monday. So when you're looking at that, if you're looking at the elite ones, he's the only one that's played 3 weeks in a row and had to play on Monday. So I've focused on him as one that may have a little bit of fatigue, and he's at a course he's never played. So he loses a day to check out the course and get practice. That would be the one guy I've circled. And when you got Tommy Fleetwood coming off 20th and 22nd, you have to go back to 2019 to find any time on the PGA Tour where he finished top 30 3 weeks in a row. He just doesn't do it. And all of us have been screwed by Fleetwood in our DraftKings lineups when you think he's lined up to have a good week and he doesn't, or a head-to-head that he falls flat on his face. I smell a Fleetwood stink bomb this week. So for my 2 guys that can trip you up, Dustin Johnson and Tommy Fleetwood, I will not be playing.
I love the Fleetwood angle. There's a lot of good information on why not to bet Fleetwood. Fairway Jesus is going to be definitely on my fade card. So I thank you for putting me on to him, because I certainly will be looking to, at least not bet on him on any sort of regular market, but maybe look at it to fade him on a matchup. So definitely a good find there, Andy. One other player I'm going to mention who's no secret here, and his price, admittedly, is probably a little shorter than it should be, because he's a 2-time winner here. In fact, he won 2 out of the last 3 prior to Sam Burns' win last year. And, of course, he's coming off a tie for 3rd last week at Sawgrass. And I'm talking about Paul Casey. It's hard not to try to get some money on him. Like I said, he won it in 2018 and 2019. There was no tournament in 2020 due to COVID. And then he had Sam Burns last year. He's also coming off that tie for 3rd at the Players. So he's in good form coming in. He ranks 7th in the field, strokes gained tee degree over the last 6 months, with 7 top 25 finishes in his last 10 starts. So pretty solid overall. He's usually a guy, though, that when you take in an outright type of a market, he might have a good couple first days, but then just, never quite gets to the finish line. But this is the one place he has done it. He was fourth in the field in proximity to the hole last week, and he led the field in scrambling. So he was playing well last week. Perhaps he carries it over to this week, although we'll see how he bounces back from that terrible situation that happened to him during the tournament. Andy, you wanted to hit on that. If you watched his golf ball rolled, he didn't embed in the fairway, right? He rolled into somebody else's old pitch mark. Yeah,
it was so bad. It wasn't even a divot. It was a pitch mark. I mean, this thing was deep. It was a perfect drive. It completely took him out of contention. I felt so bad for him. He is a genuinely awesome guy. I've been to several tournaments and watched him on the practice putting greens, and he's just always positive, super full of energy, always talks to the fans. And even then when you follow him around the course, he's just a gem. He's a really good dude. So that was unfortunate for him. So I don't know, Nick, should they be allowed to take out of divots or pitch marks if it's in the fairway? I mean, how many times around the green have you seen a guy get a BS, like free drop because there's a sprinkler head within the next zip code of them, or Sergio getting relief from a babbling brook that he managed to spray his drive off of? I see these drops, the flower beds. You get drops off of flower beds. Like, you hit it there. So I don't know. What do you think when the ball's in the fairway and you got a divot or pitch mark?
The old school purist will say, no, play the ball as it lies. But the new school golfer will argue against that all day long. I mean, listen, every club event you're going to play in, if your ball's in your own fairway, it lands in a divot, you're gonna get to be able to drop it right next to it. And same thing like a bunker. If somebody didn't rake a footprint or something like that in the bunker, most of the time you're gonna be able to get relief from that in a club type of event. And the PGA Tour, I get it, they haven't changed it, but I don't think there are really any players that would be opposed to changing that rule. And honestly, with their last sweep of rules changes, they had to try to make those kind of silly rulings go away. I'm surprised they didn't address that, because that would be one that makes a lot of sense to get rid of. But it is what it is. Hopefully Casey moves on from it. I like him this week to regain his composure and play well again in a place he's shown very good history. So we'll see how he moves on there. But Andy, let's go back to you. I love your segment here with the DraftKings darlings. I'm always looking for those value guys this week, and you're damn good at finding them. So who are you looking at here that's got a short price this week in daily fantasy?
Well, I've now decided after last week, I'm just going to make a lineup for everybody. And so last week we talked about our DraftKings darlings, and we didn't do good because Adam Scott missed the cut. Horschel withdrew, which we're going to get to in a little bit, and then Fitzpatrick missed the cut. So I went into the final two rounds with Justin Thomas, Shane Lowry, and Sergio Garcia. The person I was playing only had Daniel Berger and Russell Henley. He had four guys miss the cut. So cash that one. Which is why you never give up. So this week I'm going to sprinkle a couple of lower price guys and then middle tier guy, and I'll show you what lineup I end up with. So first guy is Vaughn Taylor. He's only 7,000. He's made the cut in all four tournaments he's played in 2022. And he's finished 6th and 18th the last 2 years that he's played at the Valspar. So get a guy that's in okay form, plays well at this course and at this tournament for 7,000. I'll take it. Patton Kizzire, he's made the cut in 6 out of 7 tournaments this year. I love guys that are just consistently making cuts. He's played here 4 times, made the cut in 3 of them. And he's finished 22nd and 32nd the last 2 weeks. That's nothing that can't be ignored. Those are 2 really good finishes at some difficult places to play. And then Alex Noren, all this guy does this year is make it to the weekend and get you points. 26th, 5th, 48th, 6th, 39th, his last 5 tournaments. Last year was the only time he's played here, and he finished 21st. So Noren has just been cashing bets left and right for us. So I'm going to throw him in the lineup. And so what I end up with for my lineup is I'm going to go with Vaughn Taylor, Patton Kizzire, Alex Noren, and then I'm going to throw in Matthew Fitzpatrick. I'm not scared. I'm coming right back to him. Yep. Shane Lowry. Yep. There's another guy that's just, crushing. And I'm going to come back to Xander Schauffele, who got an awful, tee time draw with the bad weather. He's 9,500. I think he's a little bit more of a value. So Taylor, Kizzire, Noren, Fitzpatrick, Lowry, and Schauffele. That'll be my head-to-head lineup this week.
Listen, they were showing Kazire several times on Monday, not Sunday, but in that final round, and I was like, oh man, I haven't heard from him in a while as far as being right there in contention. But knowing that he made 6 out of the last 7 cuts, that's definitely a good value play. So good find there, and I couldn't stop watching Lowry's hole in one on 17. That was just freaking awesome, man. So congratulations to him, and good luck with that daily fantasy lineup. I like it. I will one player I will say that I'm going to be avoiding this week. I'm looking at Brooks Koepka to miss the cut. You're getting plus 250 on him right now. So really, I mean, besides needing a good event, after another short week at Sawgrass last week, I really don't see any motivation for Koepka to show up here. I guess the good news is he took it pretty lightheartedly last week after shooting 81 in round 2 and laughing off his shot on 17 that had no chance of finding the green, and he actually put it in the water both days. They showed a stat during that. I actually forget it off the top of my head, but he has the most balls in the water and the highest aggregate score. I don't know if it was like 5 or over the last like 16, 17, 18 rounds or something like that. Something pretty long. So
I have the stat. I was going to give that. Yeah, I have. Here's the stat. Here's the stat. Brooks Koepka for his career total is -5 at U.S. Opens. On the 17th hole, he is plus 20. Those are career numbers. -5 at U.S. Opens, plus 20 on that one daggone hole.
It's just a wedge, maybe 9-iron. Well, it messes with you. It messes with you. Well, that is absolutely crazy. Well, listen, he did have a couple good results. He almost won the Phoenix Open, finished tied for 3rd about a month ago, and then he also finished tied for 16th at the Honda. But besides that, he's been really bad. He's missed the cut in 5 of his last 8 events overall. And the other one was a tie for 28th at the Century Tournament of Champions, which is a limited field, only 38 players or 39 this year in that field. So very, I guess up and down, but really more down as he's been lately. He ranks, when I was looking at his stats this year, he ranks outside the top 100 in everything. I mean, strokes gained approach or on the green, tee to green. He's 175th and 177th, respectively, in greens in regulation and driving accuracy. And he's got the 155th ranked scoring average on the PGA Tour right now this year. So there's a lot of bad signs pointing to Koepka. I think at plus 250, he's worth a decent play to not see him over the weekend. I think he just needs to take some time off, focus on the Masters next month and get his game, or at least his headspace, in the right shape and the right space. So I'm going to be avoiding him this week, and I will be betting him a little bit to miss the cut. Andy, for your last play, I think you are going to a matchup this week.
No, I'm actually going to go. I switched it up here a little bit. I'm going to go to a finishing position. I'm going to go with Victor Hovland, top 20. This guy's not only a top 20 machine, he's a top 10 machine. Yeah, this is now 5 out of 6 tournaments he's finished inside the top 10, and I'm going to get him at a pretty decent price. It's below -200 to finish inside the top 20. I'll take it. He's only played here one time. That was last year. He finished 3rd. And I think he's got less competition this week. There's not nearly not nearly the top tier guys that are playing this week. So I think Hovland gets a little bit of a watered down field. He's looked absolutely fantastic outside the one tournament. So I'll lay the juice and I'll take Hovland top 20.
Hovland made a run on Monday. He actually got tied in the lead at one point on his back 9. I don't know, 11 or 12, somewhere in there on the 11th to 12th hole. So he's been incredible. I like the play. I definitely think he'll be in contention again. There's no reason to think he won't. Andy, we skipped over in the beginning. Hopefully production can catch up with me as we go. I want to talk about our best bets and worst bets from last week. We skipped right over it at the beginning of the show where we normally start. I was just so excited to talk about the Valspar. I forgot to talk about our best and worst from last week. So if we have a second, let's talk about that. What was your best and worst bets from Sawgrass last week?
You and I were kind of doing the same thing with our best bet. I'll go ahead and focus on Keith Mitchell over Seamus Power. This was a matchup that Mitchell really had in control, and then just an awful couple of holes on Monday. He goes bogey and double bogey and ends up all of a sudden 3 shots down to Seamus Power when he was leading the whole time, and then just composes himself and birdies 4 out of the last 7 holes. Ends up getting the win as Power kind of fell off a little bit. So glad to see Mitchell take on Seamus Power and get to win there. My worst bet This one just blows my mind. So Billy Horschel, we have top to finish inside the top 40. He is in the group with the terrible weather. Okay. So making the cut is basically a miracle. And he does make the cut. Somehow he ends up making the cut and he's in like the mid 50s. So he starts his third round, kind of stumbles and fumbles, but then he birdies 2 out of his last 3 holes before they blow the horn. So I'm thinking he's only got to come out and shoot like 2 or 3 under. He's got a full round to go. Plus he's got 6 or 7 more holes, and he withdraws. He just says, "I'm done. I got sinus congestion. I'm out of here. My body can't take enough." Hey, listen, you always trust the golfers to trust their bodies, but when you're sitting there holding a Billy Horschel top 40 ticket and he makes the cut through that terrible weather, you're just like, man, this is going awesome. And then no, it's not. So, oh well, we'll get him next week, Billy.
I guess you would have felt better if he, bogeyed like the last 3 holes, finished tied for 41st. At least, you had a chance all the way through. But when he withdraws, he just gives up on you. I feel for you on that one, buddy. Best top Scandinavian. I think either you or I or both of us have played this prop on DraftKings like every time
every week.
Every week, honestly, yeah. It's this week he was minus 175, so the price was not that bad at all. It's always against Noren, Norlander, Stenson. I mean, that's pretty much the list. So he's usually going to beat those guys. And once again, he did just that. My worst bet, Adam Scott, top 10 or top 20. I took him this week. He had a lot. He's one of the few horse for course plays at Sawgrass, but he shot 6 over in that first round and basically was done right there and then. So sorry for Adam Scott. Hopefully he'll recover and move on because I don't think I'll put him on a betting card anytime soon. Andy, any last thoughts, notes for the viewers before we take this home?
Yeah, so Joel Dahman and Victor Hovland had a big problem with Daniel Berger. Berger hits the ball in the water. They have a problem with where he's wanting to take a drop. A couple of takes on this. Like, I would think it would take a lot for 2 professional golfers to come over and tell another professional golfer, no, that is absolutely wrong. But then at the same time, when they showed the still frame of what Berger's shot looked like off the tee, it was like, I think Daniel Berger might be in the right on this one. It was an odd situation. Have you ever experienced anything like that in a tournament or anything that you've played in?
Yes and no. I mean, agreeing where the ball across the line is difficult at times, but it's never gotten to the point because most of the time we're not playing for millions of dollars by anything, but still most of the time you come to a pretty good agreement. You're like, it's about right here. Yeah, that looks about right. I mean, I haven't gotten into a contentious situation, but there have been times where it's like I have no idea where this thing is, and you kind of defer to the other players in your group, but it's never been one where myself or anybody else in the group was like, no, it was right there, you're wrong. So but yeah, it can be difficult, and I understand it can happen. And of course, Berger, we know he just ended up going back to where Hovland and Damon said it was. So it is what it is. But
isn't that a pretty easy fix though? Like they have the shot tracker, they have everything. Couldn't you just radio down to the marshals and just be like, hey, tell him to back up 10 yards and he's good? Like, I think it's a problem to have the other golfers who are, by the way, playing their own tournament now have to be judge and jury on the other guy. Like what are the marshals not there? It's a water hole. The ball is gonna go into the water. Like I think there would be better ways to set up. It just seemed a little like, I don't know. It's kind of like having NBA players call their own fouls. Like that sounds ridiculous, doesn't it?
Well, that's what golf is. It's a game of honesty, integrity, and you still keep score for the other guys in your group. So it is a different sport in that you regard. But I don't disagree that technology these days probably does allow for some of these situations like this to be a little easier. I mean, they use it in every other thing. I mean, you watch a tennis tournament, they got that ball squeezed down to the tiniest millimeter to show that it was in or out of the line. And I still don't like, how do you know how that ball compressed? Because that thing's like oblong shaped on the ground. I'm like, what? Okay, whatever. But I hear what you're saying. I do want to announce that we have a very special guest coming on the show in a couple weeks. I don't know if it's time to spoil the name there. Maybe I'll make everybody tune in next week. I will say she is a lot better to look at than Andy or myself, and she's great knowledge on the betting market with golf wagering. So definitely will be a tune in. She'll be on in 2 weeks. So I'm really looking forward to that. Andy, I know you are as well. I know you like talking to me, but I know. Listen, I get a little boring sometimes. So I don't blame you for wanting to move on from that.
No, you all won't believe it. You will be stunned. You'll be stunned when you find out who this guest is.
Very excited for sure. On behalf of myself and Andy Lang and WagerTalk.com, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back next week. We have the match play, which begins earlier. The tournament starts Wednesday next week, so we will be having the show going on Tuesday, and we look forward to talking and previewing that with you. As always, good luck with your bets this week. A reminder that promo code, once again, Valspar30. Take $30 off a 7-day all-access pass for either Andy or myself. Cover all the sports for either one of us. Head over to WagerTalk.com to check that out. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Yes, there will be baseball. After a 99-day lockout, we now have a complete 162-game schedule starting with opening day on April 7th. To celebrate the return of baseball, we want to do a wow promotion, so here we go. The first 50 customers will get the full season of MLB, including the playoffs, for just over $3 per day. How much of a wow is this? MLB through the All-Star break is priced at $7.95, and through the World Series is priced at $1,095. But the first 50 customers can get MLB through the World Series for $6.99. No coupon is needed, and this comes out to just over $3 per day. Once we hit 50 redemptions, the super early bird discount will come down, and the lowest possible price to lock in baseball will no longer be available. So act fast before you get shut out on our biggest price drop ever.